The changing e-commerce consumer, topic of my conversation today with Robin Hooker. He is Director of Retail Strategy with UPS. Hi, Robin.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm happy to be here with you, Bob.
Bring me up to date, Robin, please, on just what's going on with the e-commerce consumer right now.
Yeah, there's a lot going on after COVID and the shot in the arm in e-commerce growth. There's been a little bit of a slowdown. But with the growth, there's been an expansion in some porch piracy concerns, the need for security. We've seen consumers and small and medium-sized shippers and businesses both responding to some of our surveys, indicating that negative reviews are going to be left when they start to experience more porch piracy. So this is affecting ultimately like the stability of e-commerce as consumers start to get some of these headwinds with final mile providers that are now gig based, et cetera. So we're tracking on some of these key stats in the industry and at the same time looking for ways to provide solutions to kind of reinstill confidence in e-commerce broadly.
Interesting. Of course, e-commerce consumers are not backing off of the demands that they acquired during the pandemic, or even before that, about delivery speed and reliability and the like.
Yeah, we're seeing that with the pie getting bigger and more e-commerce consumers being part of this, the standards and the bar is being raised on the shippers, the e-commerce fulfillment groups, and with that is the need to offer more personalization, customization, and choice to the consumer. That's really the key. Because they're looking for things beyond just simple track and trace and visibility.
Okay, tell me more about that, because in addition to speed is an obvious thing, but it's not the whole game anymore. What are the other customer experience elements? I think you just alluded to them just now. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, speed, same day, next day, always a top one, right? But on top of that is visibility and tracking, but it goes beyond that. They want to know when and where, but they want to be able to make choices, so they're looking for multiple delivery options, right? Some they're willing to pay extra for, like convenience, control, and maybe selection of alternate delivery points. The other one is delivery windows, like narrowing a time, because many are in a back to work scenario. Not everyone has the luxury to do remote, right? So that's meaning that connecting with the carrier and the recipient, right? That connectivity and scheduling becomes more important. Alternate delivery points become more important. And on top of that, the security of knowing if you're not going to be there, how insured or covered am I for a loss? Meaning, is it an easy sort of no-brainer to get a reshipment, or do I have to jump through a lot of hoops and prove X, Y, and Z as a consumer, right? When I'm feeling like a victim, but I'm being treated more like the criminal, right?
Sure. Of course, getting the package in the first place is far preferable than having to go through the retrieval and reshipping, no matter how, quote unquote, convenient that is. So it's interesting you should bring out porch privacy, because porch piracy.
Yeah.
Because when that happens, is it blamed on the retailer or the courier? I mean, it's not always within their control.
Yeah, let me give you an example. So think of like a major sports fan shipper, right? And we can guess like, there's a few of those, but who they are. They indicated that they experienced the challenge of, imagine an e-commerce order comes through the platform and it's for $1,500 of memorabilia. And they get plenty of legit orders like that. But sometimes they get orders like that and the tracking and visibility looks good. It looks like the recipient got the package, but the recipient calls and says, I never received the order, right? So what does the e-commerce provider do in that case? The recipient is irate. The carrier is saying, I have end of delivery tracking proof, right?
Yeah.
And now carriers, all of them are starting to offer the photo of the package.
Right.
But the consumer is saying, I'm not made whole.
Yeah.
And the carrier may begin to think, well, this is a first-time customer, it's a large order. Was that a legit one, or is this fraud? Should I reimburse or should I not? So in many cases, we're hearing stories that the fraud detection might involve shipping to an alternate delivery location where the consumer can go to pick the package up, and it's a credentialed handoff. right? So now, like in the example, UPS has an access point, right? Like within a CVS or a Michaels or a UPS store, right? And our competitors offer these capabilities as
These
well.
are in actual brick and mortar stores.
These are in
many-
brick and mortar stores. They're
Yeah.
just what in Europe they call them PUDO points, pick up, drop off points.
Drop off, yeah.
Right, so the ability to offer that becomes this sort of de-risking of the supply chain for the shipper and for the consumer, right? So it's not just the consumer that may say, hey, my porch isn't safe. It could be the carrier, it could be the shipper also making some of these calls. So I thought
Yeah.
that was a really interesting story and how to address risk, especially when you think of high-end products going to the porch in cases where maybe it's a multi-tenant unit or in cases where it's just, you know, brownstones in Boston, et cetera, where things can sit on the porch, but once in a while, marketing wants to put a branded box on the porch and that brand looks really attractive to somebody that looks like an Uber driver walking up to make an Uber delivery, but really they're
Right.
pulling something off the porch,
Right.
right?
Of course,
So-
of course, another way to reduce piracy is to be able to tell the consumer when their package is coming, that it's on the way. They know when it's there, and so it minimizes the time it's on the porch in the first place. I imagine that's also
Yeah, that's really important. So I'll give an example. UPS onboarded a company called Scout and Cellar. So think of, this is going to diminish it, but like a multi-level marketing, a wine sommelier to your home
Yeah.
to do tastings, and then you order, and then ultimately you're talking very expensive varietals coming to your home, right? You don't want that on a porch for that reason, first of all. It's a signature only, right? So it's going to be signature stop anyway, so you want to minimize the time in the truck. But because it's adult signature, it's not like a normal family member can sign. You as an adult have to be there. So routing to an access point in those cases means that the alternate delivery location can capture this adult signature, make it safe. And there's lots of other products like this. Ralph Lauren, Williams Sonoma, The Gap, a lot of these forward-looking brands have responded to allowing alternate delivery to be part of their checkout, right? So you can map and pick one near your home or maybe near your work and allow for that delivery. And that means more confidence in the supply chain. Across
Sure.
all carriers,
Yeah.
across all consumers, the pie gets bigger.
Absolutely. So what key trends, though, are you seeing in same day and gig work as it relates to this whole question of the e-commerce consumer?
It's huge, right? So this is a growth industry. There's more and more players funded by VC, funded by internal companies expanding. Big players are getting into the market. With the rise of gig, our UPS Capital has been tracking the gig environment and same day final mile. And they have seen a rise in respondents in their survey that indicate that there are more lost claims, meaning missing packages, with a gig delivery model than a standard courier, right? So there's a couple of assumptions that you could make, right? One could be that the gig model has inherent risk because the driver doing the delivery is not necessarily a committed employed person. It could be that there's more exposure with that type of model because it's possible the tracking is different, et cetera. But with the increase, we've seen the desire for shippers to seek insurance and coverage options that go across like a gig environment. What's been a little bit unprecedented for UPS and Capital, because we've been usually like carrier, not carrier agnostic, right? Like sort of carrier centric, meaning UPS and UPS Insurance and Capital products have always supported UPS. But Capital has begun to insure non-UPS packages, which is huge, right? So we have this division that has expertise and track history around multiple laps of insuring our own packages. We're now offering that to final mile.
Who's paying the
Carriers.
insurance? The receiver?
Well, from, you know, I think initially it's the shipper, but if the shipper offers it to the recipient in checkout, the recipient is paying for
Right.
it. If the shipper wants to sort of blend it into product costs overall, so they have that optionality,
Yeah.
right? And I think there's different strategies for it. So imagine you're placing the order and you want to monetize the insurance. You could offer it to the consumer. You could upcharge, right? That's a possibility as well. And you can fly naked, meaning you are just going to fund the insurance, or you could partner with a capital, which would look at your history and your claim history and create a policy.
Yeah.
in order to do
But
this.
this
Right?
is more and more you guys are doing this, right?
Yeah, it's
There's a-
exciting, and talking to the capital team and figuring out that, or learning that they were involved in this, I was really excited to come and talk to Supply Chain Brain about this. Also, to participate in the Parcel Forum and talk about it in that setting as well. I feel like it's something that the industry needs to know about, because this is going to be something that's gasoline is being poured on the
I
final
would
mile gig worker,
think they'd
right?
be-
Model.
think they'd be crying out for this type of solution, as you say, with the increase in volumes and the piracy issue and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it sounds like a great solution. Robin, thank you so much for talking to us a little bit about just where the changes are in the e-commerce consumer, and as well as what you folks at UPS are, how you're addressing it too.
It's been great, Bob. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Love Supply Chain Brain. It's not my first time around, so it's great to reconnect again, and happy to work with
And
you
with
guys.
you. Thank you very much.
Take care.
I was speaking with Robin Hooker of UPS. Thank you very much for watching.